Now, recent reports reveal that insurance penetration contributes less than 1% to Nigeria's GDP. This result signals an urgent action to address deep-rooted challenges that exclude the public, especially low-income earners. What measures will encourage a critical mass to benefit from its services as a safety net in the face of economic shocks? That's the question for today. Now, still on insurance, although Nigeria has one of the major automotive marketplaces on the continent, recent reports from ICO Insurance PLC shows that automobile insurance penetration is still very low, with less than 30% of the registered vehicles actually having insurance for third-party protection or more. Now, joining us to discuss this further is Ibraheem Babalola, who is CEO at ETAP. Ibraheem, it's such a pleasure to have you here this morning. Good morning.
Pleasure.
Same here. Good to have you. Well, let's begin with the stats here in Nigeria. Abysmally low, less than 1% penetration rate. What's responsible for that, and what can we do to improve it?
Thank you very much for having me again. You know, the interesting thing is this is not necessarily a Nigerian problem. I think it's a continental problem. Insurance penetration across the continent is just over 2%, but the number goes lower when you exclude South Africa, which is just above 13% penetration. Anglophone West Africa is at 1.12%, and it's a general trend in that direction for the Francophone markets as well. The issues are one around slower digitization from insurance companies. There's the cultural problem of Jesus is my insurer and bad things happen to bad people. There's also maybe a lack of understanding of the offerings and the products, and it just seems a little bit more complicated than a lot more, I guess, everyday people understand. There's also like a public apathy for insurance products as well. So it's almost like a potpourri of reasons, right? But a lot has been done in recent times, including digitization from traditional insurance companies, the advent of insurtechs, regulatory environment becoming friendlier. Now you have, I think, about 7 insurance regulators in Africa, including Nigeria, creating sandbox for innovation and digitization, because everybody has now agreed that for us to really unlock the true value of the insurance market in Nigeria and across the continent, that we have to go offensive on digital. We have an increasing adoption of financial products, and it will trend to insurance as well. The same way we've seen improvements in payments, improvements in banking. Insurance is the next frontier, and it will really be unlocked by digitization.
It's very interesting you mentioned apathy and cultural nuances, because, of course, you're spot on that. Mm-hmm. But then you also mentioned South Africa, and we, of course, have to compare those two markets. South Africa is so much more insurance educated, if we put it that way. A lot more people, in spite of the low penetration rate as well, a lot more people are a lot more open to taking up policies. What more can we do apart from sensitization? Because it appears that it goes a little more beyond that.
Yes, it's a little bit more beyond sensitization, and you're right. There's peculiarities within the South African market and the Nigerian market. Typically, when you have a high-risk environment, you have a deep insurance penetration, but Nigeria is like the inverse. Like the higher the risk environment, the more people decide to self-insure. Compliance is also, a key factor that would drive insurance penetration. When you go to countries like, like the UK, like Canada, like America, it's almost like second nature. You buy a car, you can't put it on the road without insurance. And in Nigeria, only 2 or 3 in every 9 cars, have valid insurance in Nigeria. So compliance is a key factor. Also breaking it down and introducing flexibility into the process, to the payments, as opposed to annual premiums, introducing things like weekly premiums, monthly premiums, quarterly premiums, that makes it more affordable for customers, particularly, in light of the general macroeconomic environment, that makes it easier to access and consume insurance. Accessibility is also a thing, right? How do people access insurance? And also breaking it down to make insurance more enjoyable, making insurance more fun. Today, people don't see insurance as something that is enjoyable. It's not a product that traditionally sends dopamine to your brain. if you think about Netflix today, you're thinking about that nice movie that you've watched. If you think about WhatsApp, you're thinking about that message that you got from a family member or that you sent or the business deal that you closed. You know, if you think about insurance, it's like they just took my money, or maybe so that police don't stop me on the road, you know. So it's always a like bad event kind of thing, you know, like, oh, something bad might happen to you. And so I think that there's also like a reorientation that needs to change, even from an education standpoint, from the educators themselves, right? Rather than talking about like, you know, for protecting race from bad events, but as opposed to actually talking about it as a lifestyle product, you know. So it's almost like a combination of, you know, multiple things across, breaking it down to make it more flexible, transparency in the pricing, compliance and driving regulatory compliance, you know, and merging all of that to present a better experience.
So basically simplifying the information and making it a lot more, just not palpable.
Absolutely.
I need to be able to absorb it. Well, let's look a lot more closer at car insurance as an offering, because of course there's a wide variety of offerings. What are your findings in relation to market behavior and reception? Is this beginning to become a lot more prioritized in this market?
It was. I think that people generally want to have car insurance for compliance, but also didn't really care where it came from, particularly for third party. There's a lot more care when it comes to choosing your provider for comprehensive, and then people on the comprehensive side are a bit more price sensitive. Notwithstanding, you know, the available reports is that only 2 cars out of 9 cars on every Nigerian road are insured, right? Despite insurance, car insurance being mandatory in Nigeria, you know, which is crazy when you think about it like that, you know. What we've also seen is that maybe 3 other cars actually have a paper in their car that is like an insurance policy document, right? It's just not authentic. Oftentimes the customers don't know this, but they typically would just go with an agent and say, help me do my papers. So it's almost like a package of some sort, right? You know, but the real reason why they're doing this is because they don't want to have police issue or traffic infringement issue, right? The regulators and the Insurance Association, you know, came together and created an insurance industry database where all the policies that are authentic are submitted, right? So everyday drivers can actually go there to validate the authenticity of the policy, right? As opposed to carrying fake documents.
Right, so improving the efficiency of the process is also very key. But that leads me to the other point about technological trends. Of course, we're in that age right now. Artificial intelligence is really the main topic. In what ways could this trend make the adoption of insurance a lot more easier?
At ETAP, we've used technology to simplify car insurance, to make it fun, to make it enjoyable. Today, you can insure your car in 90 seconds and have your policy instantly issued. You can make claims and have it processed and settled in 3 minutes, you know, leveraging artificial intelligence to be able to detect where the changes and the damages that have happened to your car versus the pre-loss inspection that was done. You know, you can see how your driving behavior is, how you're accelerating, how you're braking, how you're turning, etc. You can see your driving behavior, get safe driving points that you can spend on Jumia, on Konga, to buy food, to buy petrol. It's almost like a loyalty program of some sort. You can create a fantasy league and compete. I can compete with you on the app to say who the better driver is. Just things that
I can answer that for you very quickly. I definitely think that women are the better drivers, because I was going to ask you about premium rates when it comes to that. But you know what? Let's put that aside.
I think that women are the better driver from the data that we have. You know, women generally are more careful. But the irony is, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but when you see a bad driver on the road, the response will be, "I'm a woman."
No, that is such a nuance. That is such a nuance.
But the data that we have actually suggests that women are actually better drivers than men.
Because it is a fact. No bias. No bias. But Ibraheem, I mean, there's so much we could talk about. We don't have a lot of time. I just need a very quick write-up of what is your competitive edge as ETAP in terms of your offerings.
Today, we've made insurance very simple. We've also made it very flexible, where you can pay your premiums weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly, and you can pause it anytime. We think that insurance should fit into your lifestyle. Your lifestyle shouldn't fit into your insurance. We've made claims very, very quick. We've made pricing very transparent, such that your price is directly attached to your risk profile, right? We've made insurance fun. We've gamified it such that it's powerful For enterprise and companies, we've enabled them to be able to do bulk insurance, where you can upload an Excel and insure 1,000 cars, as well as managing your fleet, incentivizing your drivers, and rewarding
sounds like
them.
a whole lot of work that is going on in there.
Absolutely.
And of course, hopefully the market reception will.
Today we've won awards, I think 3 awards as the most powerful car insurance product in Africa. So,
as I can see, well, I mean, you're putting in the work. Ibrahim, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. We don't have a lot of time, but hopefully we'll have you another time.